Hi, welcome back to BestMyTest. Today's video is part 3 of the 3-part lesson of Master TOEFL Independent Speaking Task 1. In the previous video, we've seen questions related to personal experience and giving advice. Today, we'll look at questions based on making a choice out of 3 options and stating opinions. The 3 choices question style has recently appeared in TOEFL, and it is so popular that it often shows up in TOEFL Independent Speaking Task 1. So, I suggest you spend a bit more time on preparing for this question. Let's begin by discussing a good strategy to tackle this question type. Let's take a look. First, start with an opening, like always. Then, state your choice. Next, give 2 reasons for choosing that option. And finally, finish with the conclusion. If you only have 1 reason for choosing an option, then it's perfectly fine to give a reason for not choosing the other option. You will see both types of responses from the next 3 sample answers. Now let's look at our first question and response. In your opinion, which of the following behavior is the most negative one displayed by children? Being selfish, speaking impolitely, or being loud? And here is the response.
While being selfish, being loud, and speaking impolitely are all horrible traits, I think that being impolite is the worst one. I feel this way for 2 main reasons. First, my mother and father always taught me the importance of manners. Please and thank you go a long way to show people you respect them. When children are impolite, it often shows poor parenting. In addition to this, when children are rude or don't use nice manners, people will likely stop doing the things that they take for granted. For example, if your child doesn't say thank you to other children, they may not want to be their friend anymore. This will cause a lot of problems for your child down the line. So while it is important to not be selfish, to have a mild voice, and to be polite, I think it is most important to be polite.
Okay, so the opening statement agrees that all 3 traits are not good, and then chooses the worst out of the bunch. The respondent gave 2 reasons for feeling this way, and transitioned nicely between thoughts by using words such as first and in addition to this. He wrapped up the thought with the conclusion so, and restating his idea. As you can see, this response just focused on the idea they chose rather than explain why they didn't choose the other options. This is fine because you can solely focus on the one idea that you found the best. Sometimes this can be easier than trying to jump back and forth between thoughts. Now let's take a look at the phrases go a long way and down the line. If you say that something goes a long way towards doing a particular thing, you mean that it's an important factor in achieving that thing. Down the line basically means in the future. Remember, if you can use these kinds of phrases and idioms in your speaking response, it goes to show that you can speak English as naturally as other native speakers. So it's good to use them in your speaking responses. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Which of the following 3 activities do you prefer to do with a group of people rather than alone? Eat a meal, listen to music, or do homework?
If I had to choose between eating a meal, listening to music, or doing homework with a group of people, I would choose to eat a meal with a group of people. There are several reasons for this. First, I am not able to concentrate easily, so if I did my homework with other people, I feel like I wouldn't really understand very well. In addition to this, I find listening to music very relaxing. In my downtime, I like to lay down in bed and chill out with a good record on. So eating a meal with a group sounds most favorable to me. Plus, I like to make eating a social thing, so the more people, the merrier. Therefore, choosing between eating a meal, listening to music, or doing homework with a group is an easy decision for me.
As you can see, this respondent took a different approach from the first respondent, as they had a great opening sentence, but then rather than focus on the choice they picked, they examined the other 2 options and explained why they didn't choose those. If you choose this approach, you will likely have a lot to talk about, so be sure to keep an eye on your time. As you heard, the respondent then briefly explained her reasoning for choosing to eat a meal with a group. She said, in my downtime. The word downtime here refers to an inactive time, such as time between periods of work. She also said, "The more the merrier." This is a common phrase that is used when more people are added to a group. Simply put, group activities are more fun with a bigger group. Okay, the last question we'll look at has to do with volunteer work. Which of the following volunteer work would you choose to do if you're volunteering for your community? Planting trees, cleaning up the park, or repairing a driveway? Here's the sample response.
Planting trees, cleaning up the park, and repairing driveways are all good ways to volunteer in your community. But I think that cleaning up the park is the best. The first reason I would choose to clean up the park is because I think that trash can be very dangerous at the park. If a little child stumbled upon a dirty Band-Aid, they may be confused and put it in their mouth. This can cause a child to be very sick. Another reason is that I want to be near other people. The people at the park may see me cleaning up the trash and start doing the same thing. I could encourage them to take their trash home or put it in the trash can rather than leave it at the park. So for these two reasons, while other types of volunteer work are good, I would prefer to clean up the park.
This is a very straightforward response. The respondent lists all options and chooses one in the opening sentence. He then gives two reasons of why he would choose to clean up the park, with specific examples, and wraps up the response by stating his opening sentence. Now that we've analyzed a few three choices questions, we'll move on to our last type of question, stating opinions. In your opinion, what kind of behaviors do people do in public that you find most inconsiderate? Let's listen to a sample response.
I believe that the most inconsiderate behavior that people do in public is spitting. So many times when I've been walking outside, I hear a loud gurgle sound and then someone spitting. I think that this is very inconsiderate to other members of the public. First of all, people who spit often don't look around them. One time, someone spit out the window of a bus and it hit me in the head. It was absolutely disgusting. In addition to this, people often spit on the sidewalks. This is inconsiderate because if we walk through it, it can get on our shoes and in return our homes. There are many things that people do that are inconsiderate, but I believe that this is one of the worst behaviors possible.
As you can see, this question doesn't give any possible answers. You have to completely come up with your own thought. Most of the questions we've looked over so far have given you option A or option B. Be prepared to come up with your own thoughts. The good news is that these questions are typically easy to answer. Just be sure to fully explain why you made the choice that you did. Before we move on to the next question, there's one word that you may not be familiar with. To gurgle is to make a hollow belly sound. You can think of it as the noise when you swish salt water in your mouth. All right, let's look at the next question. In your opinion, what are the possible disadvantages of shopping online? Use reasons and specific examples to support your opinion.
Although I do a lot of online shopping, I find that there are many disadvantages. The first downfall of shopping online regards sizing. Even if you think you know what size you wear, it may come all the way to your house and end up not fitting you properly. This is a huge disadvantage, as it takes time to arrive at your house, and then you end up having to go out of your way and go to a post office to return it. The next disadvantage is in regards to shipment. Nowadays, there is enough technology so we can track our shipment online, but the information displayed is often incorrect. For example, I've been told that my purchase will arrive on Friday, and it doesn't show up until Monday or Tuesday. This can cause a lot of problems. So while online shopping has many advantages, sizing and shipment are two disadvantages.
Sometimes questions like these can be difficult, as they only ask you for disadvantages. What if you love online shopping and can't think of any? You'll have to put yourself in the shoes of other people to find downfalls or disadvantages of shopping online. Do your best to come up with two disadvantages that you can talk about in your response. This will make it easiest to use up the time. Remember to use specific examples for these reasons or explain the idea fully. Wow, we're already on our last question for this lesson. Let's take a look. Do you think it's important for parents to teach their kids to learn how to manage money? Use reasons and specific examples to support your opinion.
I think that one of the most important lessons a parent can teach a child is how to manage money. I feel this way for several reasons. First, in this day and age, it is too easy to get into debt. Parents should teach their children about credit cards and debt so they don't make mistakes. Even though people can't get credit cards until they are 18, it is still a very young age and is easy to slip up if you don't understand how serious these things are. In addition to this, parents should inform children not to mismanage their money. My parents taught me the value of $1 by giving me chores to do. This made me appreciate my money and save it for a rainy day or an emergency fund. Because my parents did this, I developed good money management skills, which will stay with me for life.
All right. For this response, we'll only look at the vocabulary as there are quite a bit that may be confusing. So let's get started. Let's look at the phrase, get into debt. If you are in debt or getting into debt, you owe money. But if you are out of debt or get out of debt, you succeeded in paying all the money that you owe. Okay, the next phrase, slip up, means to make a mistake that's easy to make. For example, although it's a rule for children not to run in school hallways, many children often slip up and run. This is because it's a careless error. Mismanage simply means to manage poorly. If you mismanage your money, you will likely run into financial problems. If a teacher mismanages her classroom, she will have many out-of-control students. Save it for a rainy day and emergency fund are idioms used in financial vocabulary. To save something for a rainy day means to save money for no specific reason. You can use this money to go on a last-minute trip or spend the day at the museum. Lastly, emergency funds are funds that you use in unfortunate situations such as illness, loss of job, or a car accident. You should have emergency funds to ensure you will be financially stable in case of emergencies. This is the end of Master TOEFL Independent Speaking Task 1 lessons. Do you feel more prepared? Remember, practice makes perfect. Be sure to go to our website at www.bestmytest.com to practice more Speaking Task 1 questions and improve your speaking by recording your own answer with our built-in recorder and listening to sample responses by native speakers. We also have a bunch of other Speaking Task 1 videos and lessons on our website, YouTube channel, and Facebook page, so don't miss out. This is Christy. Thank you for watching and see you soon.